Good morning, my sleep-deprived friends. This is why you keep fronting up as sports fans. Even though you're haunted by the MCG in 82 and Adelaide 93 and Edgbaston 05 and Healy 19, you hold the faith that one day the gods will wink at us. You keep fronting up because one day you think this day might come. And today, we won the close one. And it is glorious. The image of Pat Cummins throwing the bat and ripping off his helmet, having struck the winning runs, that'll live long in the memory. It's an instant part of folklore, a signature image for a generation. The wee hours promised to be thrilling, and that's precisely how it panned out. At various stages, it had all the familiar harbingers of doom. Every time he started to feel settled, a wicket would fall, and the sequence of dismissals was grim. Head nicked off at 143, Green chopped on at 192, Khawaja chopped on at 209. It was the most torturous way to meet your end. That brought the captain to the middle with 72 runs still required. When Alex Carey fell for 20, it instantly transported me back to Damien Martin at the SCG. Jumping down the pitch and hitting a return catch to Joe Root, there were some harsh words in my lounge room. There were harsh words. 54 to win, 2 wickets in hand. Who believed? In 05 at Edgbaston, it had been 9 for 220 when we gave up. Now it was 8 for 227. The harbingers of doom. If we've learned anything, it's that you can't sneak your way to a total like this. You have to take the bit between the teeth. Australia had played conservatively and defensively through this test match, looking to counter and corner Bazball. They buried the national instinct deep. But now it was time to be bold. Death or glory, Pat. Death or glory. Cummins signalled his mode, launching powerful off drives down the ground to clear the rope. 2 sixes in 3 balls. And that changed everything. It forced England back to pace and then to the new ball, and it raised the stakes. Together with Nathan Lyon, the Aussie pair drove and cut and flayed their way ever closer. They rode their luck. Lyon narrowly escaped the clutches of Stokes, and Cummins scraped by Pope at cover. Lyon went on to play the signature shot in the partnership, an audacious chip over mid-on from Stuart Broad that brought the target to single figures. You could barely watch, you couldn't look away. It was exhilarating, it was excruciating. And when Cummins fended a ball to third man, where a misfield ended the ordeal, that sealed the win. Right now, this is like snap judgments. Right now, it feels like the equal of any test victory Australia has enjoyed. And what a magnificent captain we have at the helm. He has previously shaped test matches, imposing himself with the ball, and his batting has suffered progressively. It's hard to be a master of all, especially when you're learning to captain as well. Cummins bowled his heart out on day 4 to make this chase possible. Lyon was his stoic ally, but as is the curse of the tail ender, they still had to do it with the bat. Cummins' 44 not out with his 4 fours and 2 sixes was immense, for now and forever. A fine Australian leader with a signature moment. A defining moment for a captain, for his team, and for a nation.
And look, the other bloke, he's a forgettable cricketer. The fast bowler that's bowling 124, nude nuts.
Who's that? Ollie Robinson.
Got a mouth.
Ollie Robinson.
He's got a mouth from the south, and look, someone like him, you could just go, brother, I'm coming at you. Like Davey Warner can do that, right? He can just say, hey, you're bowling 120 Ks.
You see how upset the opponent gets, Paddy? With those, what about that arrogant declaration, Haydos? Would you have barked at that?
I reckon that's fantastic. No, I think that's why we're so invested in this English side, and why someone like Usman Khawaja at press conferences saying, we actually are inspired by it, because what he's actually saying there is that our fans are inspired by it as well. The people that want to watch Test cricket are inspired by this. And we've seen it, right at the start of this. How good was that Test match?
Yeah,
if there was a blueprint to a Test match where there wasn't a big forced unforced declaration, 500 plus, where one side's basically just batting for a timeout for the rest of the Test match. Game moving forward, solid declaration, really good captaincy, I reckon, as well. Just those things people appreciate in Test cricket who want to watch, Test match cricket. So I reckon it was just a brilliant 5 days. It was just, you couldn't stop watching it.
Oh, very, very happy to have this man next to me today, our very own Bazballer himself. How are you, Socky?
Mate, you know what? I've still got, and it's a pleasure to be here with you as well, Joel. I've still got goosebumps from last night's game. I was there up until 5:30, like much of Australia. I remember 18 years ago, the heartbreak of 2005 in Edgbaston, and now we've rectified that. We've won by 2 wickets, and it's the man of the moment, Pat Cummins, hitting the winning runs. And it was funny, you're watching it live on the TV, and there's probably about 200 Australian supporters. They're all on the tour group with Merv Hughes and Dizzy Gillespie, and it was right in front of them and right in front of the Australian change room. So, the whole crowd there at Headingley who'd just been into the Aussies, like the chants were unbelievable. Aussies, always cheating. Aussies, always cheating. It's going round the ground, all this time when we're getting referrals wrong. And then this 4 to win the match from Pat Cummins right in front, just electric, goes up, goosebumps, tingles. We came from a spot where we probably didn't deserve to win.
Yep.
And we've won. We've set the tone in Ashes 1, and that is just going to set the tone for the rest of the series. And I think this is going to be one of the great all-time Ashes series.
Yeah, I think Ben Stokes sort of nailed it yesterday in his press conference, didn't he? It's like these small margins. But again, a game that goes for 5 days, it's often looked in just that last hour from people outside and media. But as he touched on, there was moments on day one in the first morning that could have affected the outcome of this match. And that's why Test cricket and Test matches are so hard to win, particularly when you've got two teams that are pretty evenly matched. Like these ones, I think are. Although I think Australia, as the series will go on, will get better and better. But yeah, there's so many fine lines, and when there's so many fine lines over such a long period of time, there's so many things that can affect the outcome, and that's why Test cricket's brilliant.
What did you make of the clash of strategies, and particular how Australia looked to sort of counter and corner the modern phenomenon that is Bazball?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty much as I expected, to be honest, and so was the reaction. To be fair, I obviously know a few of the boys, and I think Australia are always going to set slightly, well, you can call them defensive fields if you like. I think they were, no different really to Ben Stokes. Ben Stokes England makes some funky fields, and all of a sudden it's genius. Australia put a couple of people out on the fence, and all of a sudden it's defensive. I think there was some clear strategy from both sides, whether it's attack or defence. When a Test match goes for 5 days, you've got to be able to do both. And a series that goes for 5 Test matches, you're going to have to do both. And I think from what I've seen earlier and what I thought going into the series, I think that's where Australia have got the advantage. They can play at different tempos. They can play different scenarios. And I think their game will stand up in different conditions. England, we know, are going to go one way. They're going to go really hard. They're going to put pressure on trying to declare early. They're going to make different things to try and bring Australia out of their comfort zone. But again, I think the fact that they're so one-paced at the moment is going to open up some real advantages and some opportunity for Australia. And, as we've seen, they've already asked for the wickets to be flat, because I think even they know that brand of cricket won't stand up when the ball's moving around. I'm happy to be corrected. I'd love to see the ball swinging around, because that's part of Ashes cricket, particularly over in England. It's a point of difference. But yeah, I think Australia's ability to play different tempos, different scenarios, and different conditions will hold them in good stead for the rest of the series.
It's changed. It's going, spontaneous matchups. Not giving him a chance to get better at it. Lords will see him and it'll suit him. That was a dead track at Edgbaston that wasn't doing much, so they could hit through the line at Scotty Boland. Right, so now get him to Lords. There's a slope. He'll bowl big off-cutters or leg cutters to left-handers and give him a chance to bowl better, get better at what he was trying to do in the first test. No, we're just going to change him. So
you
that
don't agree,
just
obviously.
eats away at confidence. Don't change a winning formula.
Okay.
We only won with a few overs to spare. So what Brendan did on day one, without knowing what was going to happen on day 5, was give both teams an opportunity for all 4 results.
Yep.
Win, tie, draw, and loss.
Yep.
And I, for one, am such a big fan of
I
it.
love
And,
it.
and don't underestimate the Poms either. Don't think they're just out there just to entertain and lose. They'll want to win this Ashes.
Of course.
You know, they don't want to be the first team since 2001 to lose the Ashes. You know, that'll hurt. That'll really sting them. They'll go back to their playbook, and they'll work out their best formula of going forward. But I'm with you. Forget the pundits who are out there sledging them. That's what the English papers will do. I think it's about celebrating the game,
Yep.
and in particular, celebrating the Australian cricket team. 24 months they've had, and our leader, Pat Cummins.
Yeah, it's been terrific.
Just quickly, Haydos, is Lords. What does Lords throw up for our listeners?
Well, it's for a start, our record is really phenomenal there. But
Yes.
I don't think this is a period where you really need to be concerned about that as fans. It's anyone can win on the day, and these two sides will show that through this series. It's not going to be a Glenn McGrath whitewash, I don't think. They're just too close a series to have a result go all one way. But you'll definitely see more lateral movement. And for our fans as well, I can't emphasise enough just the overhead conditions. I mean, the reality of it is in that Edgbaston Test match, the majority of it was played under bright blue sunshine, which makes an enormous difference. So if you get leaden skies, what looks like a pretty benign wicket can turn into something that's going to seam heavily, or certainly move laterally, and that's going to be when you're naturally aggressive playing nations the way that they're both playing. That's going to be opportunities for bowlers, and batters are going to have to work really hard through that, or have the courage to take it on. Maybe that's a new mindset.
I love your strategic eye, Buck. How did you think the two styles came together, which I've just found entrancing across the 5 days of the test?
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard to read with England because, they did so many good things and got themselves into good positions. And then they would throw it away. I think if you look at that second innings of England, that the high score was 46, and that was by Root and Brooke. And both were, I think it was off, Root got like 55 balls and Brooke got like 52, and got out kind of playing shots that they perhaps didn't need to do. So it's that really fine balance of, the taking those risks, but then could they have just put it back in the box and just batted properly? So it's hard to know, but Australia, they came determined to play the long game. They were prepared for England to make mistakes, and in the end, they outlasted England.
To sort of give some sense of the drama. So after tea, Cameron Green chops on, then Usman Khawaja chops on. The two relatively set men, certainly set in Khawaja's case, having faced in the Test match 518 deliveries, if you don't mind, to break a whole bunch of records along the way. And you're thinking, well, who's making these runs? And Alex Carey took it upon himself to bat with a lot of freedom and enterprise, but then when Stokes chose not to take the second new ball, he wanted Joe Root, of all people, to bowl one more over. Carey charged at him and slapped a catch to Root, who took it in his follow-through. Brilliant take. And at that point, you're like, well, they're gone here. As good as Cummins was in the first innings and as capable as Lyon has been down the list for many years, how are they realistically making 54 in 15 overs when they're under so much pressure from Anderson, Broad, Robinson, and a second new ball in the mixer? And they confronted all of those adversaries in the final hour and the second new ball, and they managed to pull it off against a short pitch barrage as well, because the pitch was so bad and it was so dead. They couldn't actually get them out bowling conventionally. So we had this ridiculous situation where we had 5 men back for the hook or the top edge because they felt, excuse me, my voice is just about knackered. They felt that was the most likely way they were going to get those guys out. And Cummins and Lyon kept going for it. There was nearly a miraculous catch by Ben Stokes running back with the flight, reminiscent of the catch he took at the 2019 World Cup. So that was in there too. It was all happening, needless to say. And then Nathan Lyon plays the shot of his life, a clip over mid-wicket, which was reminiscent of Viv Richards standing up tall over the top, one bounce over the fence. And you're thinking, well, they've got this now. That took it to 7 runs to win. And there was a misfield on the rope to get them to victory, where Pat Cummins glided down to third man and got the angle just right. It was a wonderful celebration. He threw his bat in the air like Khawaja did when reaching 3 figures a few days ago. And believe me, the celebrations have started beneath our commentary position in the Aussie dressing room. They're having a great time.
That's a beautiful summation. I mean, heroes everywhere. Pat Cummins hasn't made runs for what seems like 5 years. In fact, he hasn't past 35 since 2018. He did it twice. So he made 40-odd or 35 plus in the first dig and then carried his bat through here. So, as I say, heroes all around the place, but he sits alongside Khawaja, I'd imagine.
Well, the fact that Cummins took 4 for yesterday as well. Remember that England, when they started day 4, like they were in a pretty good position to dictate terms, even having lost a couple of wickets late on day 3 and that rain interrupted day. The way Root starts, I mean, remember, it's the in-swinging Yorker from Pat Cummins that gets them back into that morning session. And then doing it with the bat on both occasions, you're spot on. I mean, he hasn't been a particularly heavy contributor with the bat over the last 3 or 4 years. In the first innings, he was able to absorb heaps of pressure, bat with the tail, make 38, and they felt like important runs to drag the game deep, remembering that, like, Australia's whole game plan against Bazball is to drag the game as deep as they can, to bat time, to absorb pressure the way that Khawaja did so well. Well, Cummins helped with that in the first dig, and in the second dig, it was Cummins who was transferring pressure back onto England. I mean, they were giving singles to enable Cummins to get off strike, and who would have thought that they'd be playing the game in such a way when Brendan McCullum and Ben Stokes have been so super aggressive that we'd get to that stage later